Hello and welcome. You're watching UATV News with me, Ksenia Buhai. Let's start with the latest developments. Ukraine received 600 million euros of macro-financial assistance from the European Union following the 23rd Ukraine-EU summit. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky announced this on Twitter. He thanked President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen and Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis. Kyiv hopes the UN member states to join the Crimean Platform. It was stated by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations. The MFA counts on active and constructive approach on the part of the UN leadership to the issues of countering the ongoing military aggression of Russia against Ukraine.
Taking into account the role of the UN in the de-occupation of Crimea, in particular in the context of UN General Assembly resolutions on Ukraine's territorial integrity and militarization of Crimea and the protection of human rights in Crimea, Ukraine hopes for UN participation in the Crimean Platform, from the comment of the MFA of Ukraine on the 76th anniversary of the United Nations.
Angela Merkel will work upon organizing the meeting in the Normandy Four until the last day of her work as head of German government. This was announced by German ambassador to Ukraine, Anka Felgusen. 2 weeks ago, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky had talks with leaders of Germany and France. The parties discussed holding of the summit in the Normandy Four. During a video conference, Volodymyr Zelensky, Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron stressed the need to implement the Minsk agreements. Ukraine wants to hold a Normandy summit before the end of Merkel's tenure. Russia's position does not allow negotiating the meeting. We are working very hard with our French colleagues on the opportunity to arrange a meeting at the level of foreign ministers in the Normandy format. Of course, it's really hard. Now, there is still no clear idea of when it can take place. Contacts are taking place with both the Ukrainian and Russian sides. Ukraine's membership in NATO is beneficial for both sides. Our country can not only receive support from the alliance, but also offer its assistance from one of the most powerful armies in Europe. This opinion was expressed by military expert director of the International Center for Countering Russian Propaganda, Yuri Kochevenko. According to him, the Ukrainian army has combat experience, a significant personnel number, and is well equipped. According to the expert, this is a force that cannot be ignored, and joint exercises with NATO countries prove this.
Украинская армия, она сейчас одна из самых сильных в Европе.
The Ukrainian army is now one of the strongest in Europe and one of the largest in terms of personnel. Many NATO countries have relaxed to a certain extent and are saving on weapons. Why do they have to be ready if there is the United States? If there is a large NATO umbrella? Among our neighbors, only the Polish armed forces are significant, making about 150,000–160,000 servicemen. The Ukrainian army has 250,000 servicemen, and others significantly fewer.
Statement of the Russian president that the gas transportation system of Ukraine is too worn out and may shatter its manipulation. This was stated by advisor to the Minister of Energy of Ukraine, Lana Zurkal. Her words are confirmed by the current volumes of gas transit. Now, Russia, according to Zurkal, pumps 85 million cubic meters per day to Europe, and this is only 20% of the capacity of the Ukrainian gas transportation system. By reducing gas supplies through Ukraine, the Kremlin is trying to force Europe to agree to the launch of Nord Stream 2, a gas pipeline bypassing Ukraine even before its certification. The blackmail is obvious. They are ready to pump another 5.6 billion cubic meters through the Nord Stream 2 by the end of this year, while our GTS is capable of pumping 11 billion cubic meters, and they do not use it because they want threats to run that they will have complete control over. 300 350,000 new jobs annually. That is the task set by the government. This was stated by first Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine, Minister of Economy, Oleksiy Lyubchenko. An investment map of Ukraine has already been created. It goes through the final stage of approval. All regions and their tasks are taken into account. Communities choose production to host and infrastructure to develop. An electronic population census will help to find out the business potential of Ukrainians.
350,000 working places annually is not an abstraction but a specific task. In the context of territorial communities, Ukrainian regions break down these tasks, filling the matrix with investment projects that they have or may have. We see the volume of investments in each region, we see the responsible ministries. There is the big construction and other projects, in particular those related to nuclear energy. All this is implemented in one investment card.
Houses along the contact line that have come under fire from illegal armed groups are being restored by rescuers from 8 regions of Ukraine. During the last months, more than 350 residential buildings in Donetsk region have been repaired. All construction materials were purchased at the expense of the regional budget. Our correspondents saw how the work was going on in the village of Granitne, half a kilometer away from the contact line.
The roof was raised by the explosions. Here everything around was covered with mines and bullets.
Mikhail Yurchenko lives in Granitne village. The man recalls the aftermath of shelling in 2014 and 2015. He says houses on almost every street were destroyed.
They shoot here all the time, starting from 2014 up to this day. Every day we go to bed under shooting sounds and wake up.
Residential buildings in Granitne are being restored by rescuers from the Lviv region. Rescuers are also repairing the roof of the house of the pensioner Clara Pudi.
The guys worked 8 to 6 every day, even in the evenings, until they repaired everything.
It is necessary to have time to repair the roofs in the village before the rains start. Rescuers set the task of repairing 62 houses in 60 days.
All our employees understand the importance of the task. We want people to understand that the rescuers are always there, that the State Emergency Service of Ukraine carries out these works and will always help them in any situation. Our guys work from morning till night. I think we can do everything.
In Granitne, rescuers have restored more than 50 houses. The works will last until the end of October.
We work on the first line, in the closest proximity to the demarcation line. We felt all the feelings of local residents and we understand them.
Now rescuers from 8 regions of Ukraine are involved in the repair works. They were distributed over 7 civil military administrations in eastern Ukraine. Over the 4 years of work, rescuers have repaired over 3,000 houses along the contact line in the Donetsk region. Reported by Nick Starkov and Nadia Sukharukova for UATV News.
Up next, Ukraine is among the leaders in Europe in terms of the number of new cases of COVID-19 and deaths from complications. The data were published on the website of the Global Statistics, which is updated in real time. Thus, over the past days, 330 deaths were recorded in our country. Almost 15,000 people received a positive test result. Among them, there are about 1,000 children. Hospitalization was needed for almost 4,000 people. Most of all new cases were registered in Kharkiv, Odessa, Zhytomyr and Zaporizhia regions. Ukrainian scientists have identified substances that can prevent acute pneumonia in those ill with COVID-19. Now the drug is undergoing clinical trials. They are carried out by specialists from the Institute of Molecular Biology, together with colleagues from the Bogomolets Institute of Physiology. The scientists confirmed that the substances found can stop inflammation in the lungs. They affect an enzyme that is found on the one type of blood cell. It creates so-called extracellular traps for viruses and bacteria.
Ось вони, молекули, які отримані.
Here they are, the molecules obtained by molecular docking, computer chemistry. Pharmaca form molecules from which a drug can be created. If a person falls ill and there is a reason to believe that this is a severe form of COVID, one or another drug will immediately need to be used to block the activity of leukocytes.
От такий препарат.
That is a drug that will prevent acute damage to the lungs, prevent respiratory distress syndrome. It is a substance that will suppress neutrophils without damaging one's lungs. Ukraine will receive equipment for efficient storage of COVID-19 vaccines. The Minister of Health of Ukraine, in partnership with UNICEF and with financial support from the U.S. government, will update refrigeration equipment for transportation and temporary storage of drugs. These are thermal containers, thermal bags, cooling elements, as well as devices for temperature monitoring. 3,100 vaccination stations are going to receive the updated equipment.
After the completion of the vaccination campaign against coronavirus disease, such cooling equipment can be used to organize vaccination with exactly those vaccines that are provided for in the national vaccination schedule.
We will be supporting over 3,000 vaccination sites and about 800 mobile groups with safe storage and safe handling devices. So these can be used for COVID vaccination, but also vaccination like polio, measles, and other vaccinations that are for children.
Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are vaccinated against coronavirus every day. Doctors continue stressing only 2 doses of the vaccine can save from a severe course of the disease. Because of the floor of fakes, many still doubt the need and, most importantly, the safety of vaccinations. One of the most popular fears is the presence of allergies. Like in this case, vaccination is contraindicated. Is this really so? My colleagues found out.
More than 95% of Ukrainians hospitalized with COVID-19 have not been yet vaccinated. But even after all persuasive numbers, some are still hesitant of a jab. At the same time, people find it difficult to give a certain reason.
We are not into it yet for some personal reasons. We do not trust all those vaccines. I wanted to protect my family. They were vaccination opposers. They share a series of some kind. They were affected by rumors. We had a disagreement on this issue in the family, so I decided to go and set an example for them. Perhaps due to some chronic illness, it can do harm.
One of the most common drawbacks of vaccination is a fear of allergy complications, while doctors say any allergy to food, pets, medicines is not a contraindication at all, as well as the allergic sniffles. Allergy-affected disorders such as asthma, runny nose, skin diseases, hives, in no way contradictions for vaccination. Check with your doctor which vaccine is more suitable for you and get protected. If you know which allergens are causing an unpleasant reaction, you should check the vaccine. The necessary information can be found on the website of the State Expert Center of the Health Ministry of Ukraine, and the agency insists Ukrainians with allergies can be vaccinated against COVID-19 as safely as others if their allergy is not associated with one of the vaccine ingredients.
The vaccinated has the most important benefit. He protects his own health, and the second is that he can enjoy normal life in the red, orange, yellow, and whatever epidemic zones. He will not be affected by any restrictions. This is how adequate living conditions in public spaces are created.
And this is not a one-year story. The Ministry of Health warns that there is a probability of the need to get vaccinated against COVID annually as the antibodies go lower over time. Reported by Nick Starkov, Irina Kovalenko, UATV News.
Emotional and talented 14-year-old Olena Usenko will represent Ukraine at the Junior Eurovision Song Contest this year. The competition will take place in Paris on December 19th. The girl was chosen among the other 11 participants. She will perform with the author's song Vazil. The Lever, the young singer, calls her song a manifesto for those who dares to be happy despite everything. That's all for today. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Stay safe and take care of yourself.